Live.
Hey folks, welcome to the Blacksmith Shop. I'm Lin Rhea from the Historic Arkansas Museum. Casey Marshall and I are still working on the device that holds a pot in the fireplace over at the Brownlee kitchen. Now we're just doing a little bit here and there, and we're kind of
Give you a quick update. None of this is pinned together.
yeah, it's all just stuck together, and what we're doing is a dry fit and just seeing how we like it and if there's any changes that need to be made before we permanentize it.
That's right. As soon as we pin these over, this thing's not coming apart except for the spit and hooks. They can be taken off. So today we've kind of got our back hind legs bent over as we did last week's video. We've got our legs balanced. So today we're working on these. We made these in our very first video talking about it. It's the hooks. We don't want just random things sticking out. So Lynn is working today on curling that up, making it a little bit more decorative, but also functional where we can still peen back here to make them permanent fixtures on each leg. So I'll give you an update on what we're doing.
Yeah, so I've got 2 of those. We made extras so we can do some on camera. And then when we get done with them, we'll have extras. We're going to take the 4 that's needed and match them up, and they look as close as possible to each other. They'll all match better. So we got a couple that are not quite as pretty as the other ones. We'll pick the 4 best and put them on that. So that's just a very simple approach, but that's just the way we are. Very simple.
Functional.
Yeah. So let's see. We've got a piece here that's hot. We've been trying to keep the fire hot this morning and be ready for anything. Let me reach in there with the tongs and get that. So we're going to pull down. I'm going to take about a 1/2 inch. Of that and pull it out quite a bit. So it's going to be a lot longer than a 1/2 inch. It's already almost an inch.
Just to give you some context, it originally started looking like this, and he's working on this end of the material. So this is what will go through the hole in our legs and be peened over. This is what he is curling to make decorative.
Yeah, so it's got that step. And actually we're going to take that in and roll it this way and end up with somewhat of a flat end. That way, when we peen this, we'll be able to have a
solid, yeah,
on the anvil. I'm going to do the other one the same way while that one's soaking. So again, 1/2 inch.
And I'm glad we make these videos for when I make the other 2 to know to start at a 1/2 inch. I have something to reference.
Yeah, and that's important to be able to reference.
I bring that up for my own memory loss, but also if you don't catch our Facebook Lives, you don't have Facebook, tell your friends. They do take all these videos and put them on the Historic Arkansas Museum YouTube page. So this afternoon, you'll probably find this video on YouTube.
So since it is kind of thin now and easy to move, I'm going to go ahead and I'm not going to pump it very much. I may have to, see, that's as far as I went, I stopped. I may have to use the vise to help continue that and make a flat surface. Right here at this step, I'm going to turn that completely 90 degrees and then curl it on up. So we'll see how these things go. Let me get it hot again.
There we go. Had to try and get the camera to focus. All right.
It's hard to get a camera to focus. I'm gonna do this in the same way. And if you're doing things in groups, often it's best to just do them all to that stage.
So if any of you folks come by this afternoon, we try to stay open until 2, and this is what I'll be working on, is getting the others to match this stage.
Okay, so that is a little bit farther. So since that is the case, I'm going to make this one match that one, and vice versa. If I was doing all 4 of them at the same time, I just do them each in a certain stage and move forward. Move them all forward at the same time. Keeping the fire hot, keeping each piece hot. You also work them each at the same heat, so you remember the level of heat, the color. If you work them at different heats, they're going to act differently.
Mm-hmm.
That looks a little bit more like the other one. So we're going to just kind of roll that up. So let's check on the other one. I'm going to go to the vise this time. Put my hammer over there.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime you're using a vise, you want to, as much as possible, work in a downward position, because the vise has a leg that goes to the floor, and that supports the jaws, and that's the value of a blacksmith vise. You can forge on it.
When he hammers, the power goes straight through here, down that leg into the ground. That's why this lasts, even though we're hammering on it.
So we're just going to allow a little bit of room for movement. And it's slipping just a little, not too bad. We'll just do that a little bit at a time. I'm going to get the other one down like that, and we're going to end up with that where it'll withstand just a little bit of peening up here. And we'll probably have to tweak them just a little bit with scroll tongs or what have you. That's okay. And what I learned from that one, I'm going to have to raise it up just a little higher. Okay, that's looking more like what I was intended. I think I mashed it just then, just a little. I'll drive a small tapered wedge in there and reshape that. Let's go over here. Hang on to it.
Tool's getting hot.
You can tell that was pretty hot, the tongs. So I'm gonna get it hot, and I'll come back out and re-square that. I want that ideally to be square, and then we can reshape that. It'll look like a neat little curl on it. And what that will do, any tendency for the spit to slip off, it'll have a catch. That's the whole logic behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that'll be square, not have any sharp points or anything to snag, you know, your pot holders or anything like that when you're working in the fireplace, because you're going to be working in and around and over the fire in ash or coals. So
You want something to catch whatever you have there from going into the fire, whether it's your spit, your pot.
yeah, so this is our first time to make anything exactly like this. I've made andirons. In fact, Casey and I think worked on some andirons at the same time. It's not, that's more like what I had in mind, just a little curl, but I'll even refine that further. And it's simply, if to make that look more round, you just strike it where it would look round. Can you see that?
There we go.
Looks better that way. And this is where the spit sits. And so that's a flat end, more or less flat end that was supported. So that's kind of what we got in mind. And we're going to do 6 of them. And we're going to pick the best 4 and put them on the device. So that's where we are today. Let me get that out of the fire in case.
And while he's pulling those, that way we just don't hurt or melt anything. He's making just a tap adjustment. Let's go and show off our show and tell today. We've got a wide variety. I have been with a field trip this morning. We are still running field trips this year, so far this spring or this fall semester. So I have missed some of the explanations to what these are, but we have a couple of Lin's larger X-rays and a smaller X-ray. This one weighs only 5 ounces, or will when it is finished. It's 5.2 right now, but that is a very, very strong yet lean tool. We have moose and moose bone, micarta, and did you say it was acacia or acacia wood? What I love is you see the 2 colors of the steel. You see that line right here? That's the hardening line, which is very, very visible, which means it is not hardened at the spine where it needs to be softer, and it'll hold a fine edge here. Now you were here. When did Peter say this saber was from?
1830.
1830.
And whenever you're looking at something like this, the entire package, the scabbard is very important too. And seeing how it's made and the different joinery and different hardware that it has, that's very important. So you can, but the style of it, it can be dated to around 1830. So Peter brought this. That's bone. It's been carved. It's really, really nicely carved. Brass hilt, and notice these little wings that fold down, and that goes over the scabbard. So that's more or less to keep water out and things like that. And there's probably a leather spacer or washer in there too. That's pretty cool. What we got over there, Case?
Well, these come from John Miller. Dr. John has been, or Dr. Miller has been making us.
These are Scottish derivation designs, and this is a little stocking knife, and we got a Celtic wrap. All this is wood carved. It's carved and studded with metal studs. This is a dirk, Scottish dirk, and it looks like it's right out of the 1700s, but John just recently finished these. So the carving and the engraving and all that's done by John. So really a wonderful
example
job. And this is just a project. He don't have the blade here, but that's showing it in stages of carving. So that'll be another one that's similar to that, I think, but I'm not sure. And of course, he's showing us now how the sheath is put together and how the stitching is. So it's a very nice example of seeing some of his work in progress. So we're glad to, not just glad to have John here, but his work with us. So we just kind of wanted to share that with you. And we're glad you was able to be here today for just a little bit. And we're gonna leave it with you. So for the Historic Arkansas Museum, Casey Marshall, I'm Lin Rhea. Glad you joined us.